Alright, so not that anybody asked, but it's been 4 weeks since I moved in. And since that time, I've had a little bit of time to, shush up the place with some very essential wallpaper, as you can see. And a little bit of other stuff that I went a little crazy on spending for, but I do not regret a single purchase because they're all very essential to me. Okay, first we have these clip hangers I needed for my skirts and shorts. There was already some hangers here and I had a few myself, but I like to have all my clothes hanged and in plain view, or else I forget I own anything at all. All the walls were dirty, so I bought my boyfriend's brand of sponges and some rags. Then I went absolutely OCD on the entire place. I mean, just look at the difference here where I only cleaned part of the wall. The sponges didn't do good on the purple painted wall though. It was picking up the paint and leaving it discolored, but after going over it with a wet rag, it was fine. Then I bought these little hangers to store my cleaning supplies because besides the kitchen, there is absolutely no storage, and I wanted to keep these cleaning supplies out of view and out of the way. So I chose behind my bedroom door since I normally leave it open, hiding the cleaning supplies behind it. Then there was some stains on the couch and this chair, so I bought this carpet cleaner and tested it out on the chair first, and noticed that when it dried it would leave a stain where I cleaned, so I had to get the whole thing wet so it would come out with no stains. First I had to move these picture frames because they were bothering me since I moved the couch and they were no longer centered. I didn't have anything to check if they were leveled, so I used painter's tape to eyeball it and used the previous holes to align them. When that was done, I got to work on the couch. I took off the covers on the pillows since that was the only removable thing and washed them in the laundry. Somewhere in the middle, I started to run out of cleaner and started to regret my decision not to just hire a professional to clean this, but since I planned to eventually cover this whole couch, I didn't want to put too much money into it. Moving on to the kitchen, I needed a water filter, so I got this Brita gallon water filter that I love so much. Because I don't have a lot of space in here, I wanted a rectangular one that wouldn't take up too much space like the circular ones do. Then I got this adjustable silverware organizer since they didn't already have one here and were just leaving everything loose like wild animals. The next thing I knew I wanted was a spice rack that could also hold my paper towels and was out of the way since I had limited counter space. But I couldn't figure out where I wanted it exactly. It's got a really strong magnet and meant to be on the side of a fridge, but since this was the fridge I had, that wasn't going to be an option. And putting it on the overhead fan felt awkward, so I just ended up putting it as close to the cooktop as I could without putting it directly over it, so it wouldn't be getting too much splashback when cooking or becoming a fire hazard. I also realized I accidentally bought 2 of these, but I am still not sure if I will keep it and put it next to this one or return it. Now this is such a small thing, but I wanted to include it because it felt like such a milestone for me to buy my first glassware set. It was always something I wanted to do but never could since I always lived in someone else's home. I love them so much, just look how cute they are. Cheers. Moving to the bathroom, I had the same issue with not having storage and looked into different options, but finally settled on this little caddy that was easy enough to assemble, and I transferred all my stuff. But I still feel like it looks a little messy, so I will be looking into a different solution. Next, this shower head was so deteriorated and gross it was spraying water out like this. So I bought a new one, and since I always wanted a shower handle for reasons, I chose this one and it came with everything and it was surprisingly easy to install. My only problem with it is that the only way to transfer water from the shower head to the handle is on top, and I'm too short to reach. But a little later, I got this step stool that I keep in the shower anyways, so that helps me with this issue. When I was installing it, I didn't have the stool yet, so I got this chair wet and I needed to get the whole thing wet or else it would dry with a stain on it. Then I used the double-sided tape to keep this mirror from moving around when I wiped it down, since it was leaving marks on the wall and I didn't realize the mirror was not leveled, so I had to stick a bunch of pieces together so that it would stick to the wall. Finally, my wallpaper arrived after weeks of waiting, and installing it is always harder than I imagine. For this one, I had to temporarily stick it up with painter's tape so I could mark out where I wanted the squiggles, but after taking it off and cutting it, I realized the wall wasn't symmetrical. So when I turned the wallpaper right side up, I struggled trying to get it to line up correctly, and I had to use a lot of tape to try and get it as vertical as possible before I actually stuck the wallpaper, because then there's no going back. So when I was putting up this wallpaper, I decided to cut each piece perfectly before putting it up because it had a pattern and I wanted it to match up as best as I could. But again, I forgot to account for the wall not being symmetrical. And because I was matching the pattern, I wasted a lot of wallpaper and was running out in the end, and had to make several weird cuts to cover the whole wall because I didn't want to buy another roll. I thought I was going to be able to cover up the unevenness of the wallpaper with a trim, but it was so heavy and bendable that I struggled to put it on straight, and when I tried to take it off, it ripped off chips of paint. So I had to keep on going and just finish what I started. If I was doing it again, I would have laid it out beforehand to let it straighten out. Well, if you don't look at it too closely, it's fine, but you live and you learn, and I'm happy how it turned out anyways. I still have to change out these pictures to something that better matches the rest of the place. I'm thinking something like this for these two picture frames. And I have this crazy idea to make an oil painting for this one of two birds in a cage to contradict the wallpaper. Also, I just got this crazy idea for this wall. Before I wanted to put tape beep boops wallpaper, but since they don't ship to Mexico, I was looking for a new idea and found this cardboard sculpture on Pinterest. And I have so much cardboard, so wouldn't it be cool to just have like this dragon coming from one box and going to another like some kind of sea monster? Well, I do. So that will be my next project. Stick around to see if you want to see how it turns out.